Right, welcome to this tutorial about setting up a new file in Reckon Accounts, what was previously known as Quicken. So first of all, we open up the Reckon software, and you're presented with this window. This is where you can choose to open your existing files that you may have, or if you're setting up a new company, which we're going to do in this example, then click here, Create a New Company. So you've got a choice here. If you've done this before, you probably skip this interview, and once you've got the file set up, you can go and set up your different chart of accounts and your cards and opening balance and that kind of thing. If you're not familiar with setting up a new file, the interview is a great way to walk your way through it, and it prompts you for the bits of information you need. So we're going to go through the interview. So we'll click on Start the Interview. All right, first up, company name and all of the company information. So you go through those fields. For this example, we'll just enter demo company, and I'm not going to worry too much about these other fields. So this is just your address, you know, your all of your email address, your website. These fields will flow through the software. So once you're working with it, for example, when you create an invoice, it will grab the information from these fields like your address and your ABN number, your website, all of that kind of thing. So you can always edit that at a later stage, so we'll skip through that at the moment. The next stage, it asks you to select your industry, and this basically helps you set up a chart of accounts. So if you've got an existing file and you're coming from perhaps a different accounting system, you might choose to skip this and just import your own chart of accounts. But if you're not sure, if you are starting from scratch, then this is a great starting point, and you can always edit this at a later stage anyway. So we'll just, for this example, use a service business, so it's not going to set up any inventory accounts or anything like that. So we'll click on Next. You need to know what type of entity you're trading in. So there's a list of all the different types of entity there. You need to have decided that before you obviously set up your software. So if you're not sure of that, flick us an email or give us a call, and we can give you some advice on that. Or you may need to see your tax accountant. All right, for this example, we're going to choose a company. That's most of our clients are companies, so we'll select that. You need to choose the month that your financial year begins in. For most Australian entities, that will be July, so that it coincides with your tax year. Some countries run at a different calendar year, so you'll need to, if you want to consolidate your accounts with other international entities, you may choose to change that year, that starting month. So we'll leave it as July for this example. This is where you can, if you've got different users, you're accessing your computer for security, you set up your administrator password. We'll leave that for this example. And next we get to choose where we're going to store that company file. So if you're wanting multiple access to that file, you might want to save that on the server. So for this example, we'll just save that under the default company file directory. So that'll take a few seconds to set that company file up, and before it takes us into the next step. So you can see it's actually creating the file. At the moment, takes us in there, and then we go through the next steps and actually setting up some of your accounts and how you're going to work within the software. So we'll click on Next. So it takes you through some questions. Okay, the first one, what do we sell? So this is going to help us decide if we do have, if we sell products, it's going to actually help us set up some item numbers and some inventory items. So we'll just keep it simple, set it up as a service only. Do you track tax? So if you're registered for GST, you'll need to select yes here, so that it will add GST to your sales. Do you want to create estimates? So this is where this is fantastic if you're a business and you need to prepare quotes, you would select this here, and then it'll save that quote in your system. And when you actually prepare the sale, you can go back into that quote. You won't have to recreate all of that information. All the lines will be in there. If you need sales receipts to give your customers, you'll click yes here as well. If you want statements, using statements to issue your customers, so when you have overdue accounts and you want to send them a statement, you click yes. Progress invoicing, for example, if you're a construction company and you do progress claims, then you would select yes here as well. It'll allow you to do progress claims. It's asking if you want to manage the bills you owe, so that'll enable you to give a list of your accounts payable to different suppliers. So we're going to just leave yes, the default for most of these. Tracking time and reckon, so that's where you have time billing. So if you have staff that are working by an hourly rate and charging by that hourly rate, that enables you to basically have one common point of entry for the hours that staff member is working, and those hours will flow through to both your payroll and your billing. So really can save your bookkeeper a lot of time and not having to double enter a lot of that information. Do you have employees? So this will help you set up your payroll. So if you have staff, it'll go through and set up your payroll. We'll just leave it no for this example because we just want to get the file set up. And you can go and don't get too hung up on a decision on a lot of these things. You can go and change them after you've set it up. So here's the chart of accounts stage. It's asking us when we want to set up a chart of accounts. So just have to be careful here. If you're starting a new entity, and you can see here it's wanting by default to start up the beginning of this financial year. Now, if you've started trading prior to that period, you'll have to be careful and make sure you put in the date so you can go and amend the date here. So you can go and actually amend that date. Otherwise, if you do select this option, it won't allow you to enter transactions prior to that period. So you just have to be careful with that step. This is where you add your bank account. So we'll say yes, we have a bank account. So let's just say, just for default, you want that will usually be the same date that you start using the software. So we'll click that as a default. This will allow you to set up your opening bank reconciliation. So go through, enter your last statement date, which would be the day before that opening period, and you need to get the statement balance on there so that you can have an opening bank rec. That's all of our bank accounts at the moment. Here's the default chart of accounts that it's used for that service company. So you can just go on there. That'll just give you a guide, so you can check that. If that doesn't look right, you can always go back and select one of the other recommendations. And that's pretty much it. So that gives you a starting point. That's only the first step in getting set up to run with Reckon accounts. So that'll give you the company file to work with. You've then got to go and you'll have to go and set up your cards for your suppliers and your customers. You'll have to set up your employees, check your chart of accounts are right, and enter your opening balances and opening bank reconciliation. So this gives us a file to work with. We'll go through those other setup steps in the following tutorials. Feel free to give me a call, Tim at booksonsite.com.au, if you have any queries.